Hey, what is up, children of the sun? This is your spiritual nomad, Montre Bible. Yep, that's my real last name. And I am going to be doing a reaction video to the lamp theory, scariest glitch in the Matrix explained. Anything that deals with kind of that Matrix kind of stuff, I'm going to be interested in. I want to know about it. I want to hear about it. I took the day off today and wanted to spend some time on the interweb with you guys because, I don't usually have all the time to do it. Then I take a nap and go to sleep and then watch my Netflix. But anyways, we are going to watch this video um, and see what homegirl is talking about. Let me press. Can I just press this button? Oh, I just.
Hi, my angels.
Very
It's
weak.
Haley Reese, and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so grateful that you are here, and I do hope that you are having an absolutely magical morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you when this video
Monkey.
finally reaches you. My God, do we have something to dive into today? If you've been here on my channel recently, we've been diving into some of the strangest, most terrifying, unexplainable glitches in the Matrix or overlapping
I'm
of
intrigued.
parallel universes or just an alternate reality.
I'm in.
But today we are diving
Hey,
into a
Mandela effect.
theory that is much deeper than it appears on surface level. Today we are diving into something that I will warn you now is absolutely mind blowing. I've been diving down
Oh, she's
some
got me quoted.
crazy rabbit holes recently, and believe me when I say all of those videos are coming here to my channel. But it felt like we really needed to start with today's video. We are told that a lot of what we see online is BS, made up stories conceived by media propaganda. But what I am sharing with you today is more than an on.
I'm gonna say this right now. She's a good storyteller. I can just tell this right now. Like the way she's just like building it up and like, do they take classes for this?
Line
This is amazing.
theory and may just change everything you think you know. I want you to take a look at your
Mm.
life. Really, truly imagine your life. All the things you've done since you were born, everyone that you've come to know, all the things that you love about the world that you call yours. Maybe you had the most beautiful childhood, got the degree and job you dreamed of, met the love of your life, and through that love, created a family you were so proud of. No matter how hard life gets, you know that you have each other. You have your purpose. You have everything
Mm.
you have ever wanted right there in front of you. Everything is perfect until suddenly something seems off. A piece of furniture catches your attention, and no one seems to notice it, but you can't unsee it. And then you open your eyes. Suddenly, you're alone in a hospital room. There's no husband, no kids. You're told that you were in an accident, and for a week, you've been in a coma. But you know that can't be true. They'll call you crazy and you'll mourn a world that you're told never existed. And you'll start to feel crazy, finding yourself on Google until suddenly you learn you aren't the only one. Because 13 years ago, a man shared his story of his stolen life and his struggle to carry on without his family. Today, we explore the lamp theory, a subject so crazy it's bound to consume you. I warn you that once you learn this information,
Oh boy.
you will forever question your own reality. But ask yourself,
This sounds a little scary. So what if you wake up, you've been living your life, you're living this perfect life, and you wake up and you've been in a coma for a week and they're saying, "What? What are you talking about?" The question is, do you remember the current life? And if you do, did you shift for a moment to a past life? And if you've watched any of my videos, a past life is not necessarily time is not linear. A past life you can be reborn in the same timeline. You can be reborn as somebody else, you know. So that's why when they say we're all connected, we're all connected. We're just a variation. I think we're a very small variation of souls that keeps jumping timelines, simulating billions of people, but there's only a little finite number of souls. Maybe it's the 144,000. That would be a good theory. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. Oh, where's my play button? Come on, press play. Look at there now.
this: what's scarier, waking up to the truth or staying asleep forever? A parallel lamp slash awoken by a lamp was originally posted 13 years ago. This experience shared by the user detailed an entire life that they had lived after suffering a head injury, sharing
I
how
ain't
they
reading
fell
that.
into a serious depression and mourning after discovering that family and life never existed. All this began with a lamp appearing
I'm going to start talking like this because I'm taking notes. The way she's bringing me into this story, no shade. This is how I'm going to start doing all my videos. So don't complain when I'm trying to pull you into my story. I'm just saying. What do you guys think? Good? No? How's
peering
it working?
off and leading the man back to what is believed to be his original world. The post went crazy with thousands
I
of
got that
people
lamp right now.
asking how something like this could be properly explained. Was there some sort of medical or scientific explanation as far as what this man had experienced? I mean, surely there must be. But then suddenly, countless experiences began surfacing online from others who claim to have experienced an entire life that they're now told never existed. It seems as though people are experiencing these alternate lives while going into a coma, falling
Mm,
unconscious, or even having near death or out of body experiences.
yep.
We've talked a lot in the past about how time
Your
itself
death does it.
is an earthly.
A lot of people, if you haven't heard of it, you need to Google quantum death. I've made a video about that on my YouTube too, uh, in the past. But quantum death is, like when you have a near death experience, in one timeline you died and in the other one you didn't. Your soul just shifted to the one that didn't, and your soul will continually jump timelines. Now what people a lot of what kind of well I won't say what people think, but kind of like what Hollywood is showing us, and I've kind of already felt it, and I've heard about it being spoken about, is a singularity happening, like timelines are collapsing, and we're moving into a singularity, or at least two uh timelines. So while some people are calling it a split, like this, there is a singularity happening because there's millions and millions of timelines, and like the movies have kind of shown it a little bit. They're kind of revealing that the timelines are collapsing. There's happening this singularity, but there's also having a split where everything's going into two separate timelines, and only one can exist. So there's gonna be a singularity until there's only just two timelines, and you better choose one because one of them ain't gonna be the one, because that's gonna be there's gonna only one of them is gonna collapse as well. So choose wisely because this is what is happening right now. Anyways, once again, tangent. Back to theory.
Human creation. So, is it possible that people are slipping into an alternate dimension, another reality, and living an entire decade?
Quantum
While
dot.
it seems only moments or weeks or months have passed here? And what happens to those lives when they overlap in such an intense way? Today, we're going to explore the original post, another post off of it that absolutely blew my mind, and the truth behind the lamp theory. Could we all be experiencing it now? And what
Maybe.
would you do if you suddenly woke up to find that all of this was nothing but a dream? So let's get into the original post, and then let's dive into why this is much scarier than just some online made up story. So, again, this was originally posted around 13 years ago. And I believe it was a comment on a thread asking something along the lines of, have you ever felt extremely attached to somebody in a dream? And this experience begins by saying, my last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds and I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip a beat and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately, she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on both him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on four legs, and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next
Mm.
morning, I didn't go to work. Something was not right about that lamp. I
What's up with the
stopped
lamp?
eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon,
They
I
need to make a
stopped
movie
that
about
too,
this.
as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. But
I
this
mean, I'd be
time,
worried
my
too.
cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I.
Oh my god, he's just staring at a lamp. John, John, why are you staring at that lamp? Stop it, John. 3 days, man. Not eating, just staring at a lamp. John, come over to the table. I made you some green bean and casserole. John, come sit down. Okay, John, I'm taking the kids to my mother. I can see this. This is a movie, man. Is it? Did this really happen, or is this a script? I don't know. Now I'm starting to feel skeptical. Lamp theory. I'm gonna have to look this up online and see if this is real. Good story though. I'm entertained.
I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife,
Good
my
story.
kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not effing real. The
I'm
lamp
gonna have to
started
Google
to
this.
grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all
That's
kinds of
hell.
weird noises, and I
Run
became
away.
aware of pain. a shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk, surrounded by people I didn't know. Lots were freaking out, and I was completely confused. At some
Mm,
point, a cop
I'm
scooped
confused.
me up, dragged me and walked me across the sidewalk and grass, and threw me in the back of the cop car. I was still
Mm,
confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cops. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive and give CT scans. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep,
he lived a whole
hoping I
nother
would
life.
see her in my dreams. I never have, but
So I told you, like when you die, you can be reincarnated in another lifetime, but it can be the same recent one, like a few years ago. And so sorry, somebody was texting me something funny. And so yeah, he was probably like, "Oh, here's a preview of your next life," because homeboy was about to go. He was ready to walk into the light into another life. And it quite wasn't what he expected. He didn't die. So yeah. Not to say that, it would have been better if he died, but no. Because sometimes it can be worse. So yeah. Anywho, he got his ass kicked, and basically he almost died and went to the next life, which is just another lifetime that he has to
sometimes
experience.
I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. I've had many personal messages describing similar experiences, and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible. I'd say more research needs to be done on brain functions. Pre med students, don't assume you know everything. People went crazy with this. Of course, there were people who believed that it was just some made up online story, or perhaps just something strange that had happened within his brain after suffering such traumatic injury. But then reports started surfacing of others having lived entirely different lives while not being cognitively present here. And that's when people started to wonder if there was more to this story than just an online scare. This led so many people to explore the idea of what really happens to us when we lose consciousness, what happens to our soul, what happens to us when it seems as
South
though
Carolina,
there's no
Carolina,
brain activity
somewhere.
here, or at the very least, as said, no
Your soul is somewhere.
consciousness. So the theories seemed to be as follows. Did he just imagine an entirely made up life while he was
Soul jumping.
unconscious? Did he visit a universe parallel to ours that was different, where he had this wife and these kids, and then
So he
seemingly
didn't have
was
to experience the
transported
pain.
back here? Was it a past life, or perhaps a glimpse into his future? Again, this was 13 years ago, so I'd be curious to know where this individual is now and how their life panned out. Did they end up getting married? Did they have children? And did those children remind them of the kids they were mourning after waking
A
up? But
future
as I mentioned,
that saw it
all
the
of these
entire timeline.
experiences started coming in. People who experienced
Hmm.
entirely different lives while in a coma, or having experienced a completely different world while unconscious, or having a near death experience. One user shared an experience where 3 boys pushed things a little too far, and one of them had a shocking encounter. Basically, in this experience, there were 3 teenage boys joking around
Oh,
and
yeah, she told this
wrestling
story.
with one another. They talked about how the 3 of them had decided to have 2 of them do a bear hug and knock out one of the other. The individual who was knocked out saying, "I couldn't breathe and soon became unconscious. It was like waking from a dream. This world was a dream. And I
What kind of game is this? That's the kind of game when they're really trying to like, yeah, let me put your head under the wall. No, no. No, that's not a game. That's I think you're trying to take me out. These kids are weird. That's all I'm gonna
And I
say.
awoke to a reality more real and vivid than this world is now. I saw the illusion of this existence on Earth dispelled. It faded away, and I didn't regret it. Soon, I found myself in the real world, in a huge city that I already knew. My memory seemed to return. Yes, I had gone to sleep and dreamed of a little place called Earth, and now I was awake. That was a silly dream, I thought, and I soon forgot all about Earth. I continued my life just like before I fell asleep. I
This sounds like a story. The way it's written is too like, it sounds fake. It sounds like if it was a real um report of somebody normal, unless it's a writer dictating what somebody else said, then I can understand how it can be so colorful language. But if it was a real witness report of some normal Joe Schmo, it wouldn't be that colorful. So I won't say that it's fake yet, but if it was actually a real witness report, maybe it's being written by, like I said, a reporter, and they're giving it more colorful language. But I don't know. I'm just saying, but not to say that the theory isn't correct, because I do believe in the theory, but I think people are building stories on the theory to give themselves clout. I'm just saying. I'm just here. I'm just listening.
I
Just
lived in that
giving you my opinion.
fantastic city for years and years, centuries it seemed. I lived there so long that I completely forgot all about Earth. For hundreds of years, I had forgotten Earth. If someone was to ask me about it, I couldn't remember since it had happened so long ago. Then one day, I was walking into a store. Suddenly, a confusing loss of direction hit me, and I felt myself falling. Suddenly, I opened my eyes to see strange leaves, the sky, and the other boys looking at me. Where was I now? How did I get here? What had happened? And then I remembered. Hundreds of years ago, I fell asleep and found myself here. This place was called Earth and was part of a weird dream. I must have fallen asleep again. Slowly, my earthly memory returned. I asked the boys how long I had been unconscious. They said only a few minutes. They asked me what happened, and I told them I didn't want to talk about it. So, what world is real? I mean, perhaps they all are. What if the very world that you are existing in right now was never yours to begin with? Or at least not where you started? It really does make you ask yourself how deeply you want to investigate the inconsistencies around you. Because now we know what happens when you look at a lamp a little too long. I have talked about countless times here on my channel that we are
Right now, we live in the world where everyone's a podcaster. It's a weird world, but maybe it won't last forever, and we'll wake up and there only will be a few, and then the rest of us will be doing something else. I'm just saying. I'm not here to judge. I'm done.
spiritual beings having an earthly experience. And whether we believe it or not, it seems as though there are infinite worlds in which different versions of ourselves exist in. Is it possible that people are tapping into these other worlds? A couple of users thought it was interesting to imagine what had happened to him in the other world. Did he mentally check out and end up in some sort of a facility as his wife was concerned about him? Or did something happen to him in this world? Or perhaps did he just switch back and that version of him continued on as if the lamp never happened? I have been heading down some crazy rabbit holes where glitches in the matrix, overlapping universes, and parallel dimensions are concerned. And let's just say we are just scraping the surface and just getting started into our discoveries. But I can't lie to you and say that it doesn't
Oh,
freak me out a little bit that the deeper I dive, the more things in my world may appear different than they should be.
oh,
It makes you ask yourself, if you looked a little bit closer, how much of our world isn't as it seems. This particular experience is fascinating to me because when we look at the fact that the individual in the lamp theory
like
or
how
in the
she said
lamp theory
words.
experience suffered a traumatic brain injury, there was an accident that kickstarted all of this entire experience. And it kind of led.
So I was talking about before all of this. I was talking about quantum death, and when you have near death experiences, it will push you into, especially if sometimes people actually die, but their soul shifts to another timeline that's almost exactly the same, and then sometimes those people don't completely, pass over, so they see a glimpse of something, they see the light, but when you go past that light, it's just another timeline. I see the light, I'm gonna walk toward it. Once they get past it, hey, welcome to life again, you just been born. So they go to another timeline. We're trying to transcend that, like, gotta get past that. But yeah, that's what they're seeing. They're seeing another timeline that they're jumping in. It could be another life. It could be a parallel life, which is the same life, but in a different timeline, or it could be another shift to a whole different one. So that's what I think quantum.
Led me down the rabbit hole of quantum immortality, the concept in which you have died in
Yeah,
one universe and have immediately transported to a universe so similar to yours, but yet ever so slightly different. Could this be an instance of
different.
quantum immortality where he had been transported to an alternate reality similar to his but different? He now met his wife, had his children. But what shifted it in sending him back? Again, plenty of people who have had out of body experiences, specifically during near death experiences, have claimed it felt like hours, if not days, weeks, months, years passed. And upon their returning to Earth, only moments in time had passed by. So it makes you wonder, had he lived a decade in this world and was suddenly transported back before anybody here could notice? This is truly one of those experiences where all I want is to track down the individual in the experience and ask them how their life played out afterwards
Mm,
and where things went next. It also
it could be.
makes you look at those unconscious or in comas in hospitals a little differently and wondering where they truly are, where their soul and their consciousness is in those moments where the earthly shell is seemingly vacant. It really is a fascinating subject that I intend to dive deeper into. But before we could explore this even deeper, we had to uncover what exactly the lamp theory is. I can say one thing for certain, there is something powerful shifting here on earth. People are awakening to a lot more, and the blinders are being pulled off. So it makes me want to ask you, are you prepared to stay sleeping? Or are you ready to wake up? And if you do, are you ready for what you learn in doing so? That's a really big question
Well,
that
that's
I'm
scary.
not even sure I could answer. This is one of those theories that you really have to put yourself into the shoes of the individual sharing the experience and ask yourself, how would you feel if you woke up suddenly and realized everyone you've come to know and love didn't exist, or at least not in the way that you've been existing with them? And how many people have been labeled as crazy for having an insane experience that we just haven't been able to fully find the answers to yet, or at the very least, haven't been released yet. That is basically the lamp theory. The idea that a man, among many, lived a life that they're now told never existed. A life that felt like years and family milestones passing, only to come to find.
I'm gonna end it right there. Because I was thinking about when when they're looking at these lies, all of these lies have existed no matter what. And when we think about it, these are lifetimes, but these are also souls that are infinite. You are infinite soul. Your soulmates are infinite. Your twin souls that you interact with are infinite. We're just jumping around timelines, hitting different lives. And when those timelines cease to exist, we're all going to converge into one singular timeline and hopefully be the best souls that we are because we have finally evolved to a whole new level. And that's what's happening right now. We're just noticing this convergence happening. So don't worry about or judge people because we're all the same different soul trying to figure itself out and get out the negative stuff and get the positive stuff. And then all the negative stuff gets converged into nothingness while the positive stuff moves on and splits up again and decides which is the good stuff, which is the bad stuff. It's just this process that happens until the soul gets into a complete singularity where it has perfected itself. The super soul, I guess, the creator. This is all what the creator is doing, and this is what we are all experiencing as singular, like sparks of the oversoul. But I'm losing my train of thought. We're all sparks, yeah. But anyways, yeah, it was there and it wasn't there. That's what I'm saying. Oh, maybe I was saying too much because I was like, it was just like it was like a download, and all of a sudden it was like, anywho. But that's what I was just trying to get at. What's going on with the timelines and how it all interacts with us. Anyways, that's a good. This is a good video. I like it. Um, Hope you guys got something out of it, and I will talk to you guys later. And keep on questioning stuff.